Hello everybody, Hammerhead doing another video. So as indicated in the title, this is about James Harden. So, I have come to the conclusion, after deliberation, thinking, and weighing this stuff, I've come to the conclusion. There's not a person you can put all the blame on in terms of the Houston Rockets organization. You can't put all the blame on Daryl Morey. You can't put all the blame on Mike D'Antoni, who's now left, as we all know. You can't put all the blame on Russell Westbrook. You can't put all the blame on James Harden. In my opinion, it's a domino effect. GM causes coach, coach causes player, player causes player, and etc., etc. And while deliberating and researching everything, I looked at two videos made by fellow YouTubers, League of Winning and Swish Out. I probably am mispronouncing that, but please forgive me. They each made very valid arguments and very good arguments. Neither of them are completely right, but neither of them are completely wrong, in my opinion. League of Winning makes the argument that really most of the blame should be put on the coach and GM because of how much they put into winning now scenario, and have given up so much of their future assets, rightfully so, and for the inefficiencies of Mike D'Antoni not adjusting his game. And how basically the same exact thing happened while he was in Phoenix, and his system requires his stars, for example, Steve Nash, to play perfect ball every night with pick and rolls and everything. But I'd just like to point this out. A couple reasons why they never won a championship in Phoenix. One, in my opinion, this was also brought up in the Steve Nash Untitled episode of SB Nation, that of the incident where Steve broke his snage while colliding with Tony Parker, and the bullcrap suspensions handed out to Amari Stoudemire, and I want to say it was Boris Diaw, but if I'm wrong, I'll say Leandro Barbosa. Probably wasn't either of them, but I feel like it was probably Diaw. You had the one, and then because of the whole thing with Robert Horry hitting Steve and everything, those really hurt them in those series. And then you have the Joe Johnson broken eye socket. So a lot of bullcrappy things happened, and also the Amari Stoudemire knee injury that basically costed them an entire season, and that definitely hurt their chances. But he still makes a valid point, because D'Antoni basically has made no adjustments from when he was in Phoenix to now. He's basically doing the exact same system, making really no adjustments, and basically losing every coaching battle he comes up. I mean, he can get out of the first round. He can make a conference final. But that's because of how good the one guy is playing. So he's got to really learn to try to but honestly, I don't think he'll ever learn, as we've seen. Unless when next time he gets his next head coaching gig. If he ever gets another head coaching gig, he finally fixes that. But anyway, on to it. Swish made the point that you should just trade Harding. Just trade him, because he, and I quote, he's a system within a system. And that is a valid argument, because it really is hard. Because he is a system within a system. When he was with Dwight Howard, year by year, Dwight Howard stats went down, and his star career basically died. Then he had Chris Paul, all the things with Chris Paul, with his usage rate going down to all the way to 122nd. He went, and I am basically not word for word, but I'm going to try to say the same thing. He went from orchestrating a beautiful offense with the Clippers to having a usage rate of 122nd. Chris Paul. What the You give up all this stuff for a guy that's getting used not even 100th? It's like, just, what the Then you got Russell Westbrook and his inefficiencies, but let's just not get into that because then at this point we're beating a dead horse. Really, I'm beating a dead horse already, but just let me keep beating it. What should they do at this point? What should they do? They've tried multiple kinds of rosters to put around Harding with shooters, rebounders, or just specialists, and it's failed. At best, they're a conference finals exit. Honestly, I think they've capped out. That's the best they can do. Unless, Kobe Bryant made this point that James Harden changes his game or he'll never win a championship. And in that regard, I try to compare him with this. James Harden is basically Michael Jordan in his first 3 years, when all he was about was scoring. That doesn't win championships, and that was alluded in the Last Dance documentary. He didn't start winning championships and really becoming Michael Jordan until he turned into a team. A team. With Harden, it's basically just one guy. One. You can't win with one singular guy. And we've seen. It's after 5-6 years, however long this run has been going on. Either change your game, because you should see at this point it doesn't work, or just trade the guy to any franchise that'd be willing to give him up, or just let him go whenever his contract. Honestly, I think you can put the blame on everybody, but look, at this point you should see what's the problem. It's not completely James Harden's fault, but you gotta see that the way you're playing the game is not working. That you gave him Mike D'Antoni, you gave him Chris Paul, you gave him Dwight Howard, you gave him Russell Westbrook. Failed. Now what? You're really in a bad cap situation with contracts and everything. I don't even have to go down the list. A League of Winning does a great job explaining why. So I highly recommend you watch that video. So, just what the frick do you do? I honestly don't know. Either two things. One, you try to blow it up in some freaking way, so at some point you get back into contention, or the next coach that comes in has a sit down with James Harden and Russell Westbrook and says, guys, the way you're playing is not working. The way that has to go is going to be far different than what you've been doing the past few years. But in today's game, where the coach where superstars basically run the team, which is sad in my opinion, I don't know if that happened. There's been a lot of talk about Sam Cassell becoming the head coach, which I kind of hope is right, because I think he'd be a good guy to have, because he's been an assistant for a while under Doc Rivers. I think he can bring some new stuff and have a good voice. Cause as being a former player, he can tell these guys. Because since he was part of multiple championship teams, he can sit down and tell them what it takes to win. So, I honestly hope they hire him. But again, who knows? But those are my feelings of with the whole predicament there in Houston. So, either next year is make it or break it, or honestly at that point just trade him. I love James Harden, but honestly his game just does not win championships. It does not. I'm sorry to be blunt, but I gotta be. If you don't want to to look at it like that, then that's fine. That's your opinion. But you gotta hear the truth at some point. So, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time.